Well, it's 12:30 on the clock, so I think we'll get started. I don't want to keep anyone longer, but thanks so much for joining us for another educational information session hosted by Career Loans. Today we'll be talking about breaking into the transportation sector. And of course, Career Loans is funded by the Canadian government. We're coordinated by Achēv, and our financial institution is HSBC. All right, if you have any questions or if you want to interact throughout the course of the presentation, feel free to do so. At the bottom of your screen, you should see a chat and a Q&A function. Please throw in all of your questions and we will get to those at the end of the presentation. So who is here today with us? Myself, hello, I'm Candice Fox and I'm the Saskatchewan Outreach Consultant for Career Loans. Jordan Ewart is a Policy Analyst for SAS Trucking Association. Give a wave there, Jordan. Debra is from Capilano Trucking and Driving Training Institute. Thank you, Debra, for joining us today. And of course, the lovely and amazing Claudia Valenzuela, our Information and Financial Counselor from Career Loans. So that is all of us here today. And we're going to play a video. Obviously, for those who are familiar with Career Loans, we've gone through a little bit of a branding change. So we've got a new look and feel, but the service is exactly the same. So I will play that video for you.
Are you a permanent resident, convention refugee, or Canadian citizen residing in Alberta or Saskatchewan? Are you an internationally trained individual in a regulated or non-regulated occupation? If you are not finding a job in your field, need career counseling, are unable to secure funds for training, or have been declined for traditional loans, then Career Loans can help. Career Loans is a virtual program that has partnered with HSBC Canada to provide financial counseling, career counseling, loans of up to $15,000, referrals to employment services, alternative career advice, and a guide to the accreditation process. Our expert counselors will coach you on your career goals and enable you to reach your full potential. If you would like to apply for a loan, our counselors will refer you to our financial partner, HSBC Canada. After assessing your financial situation, if you are eligible, your loan will get approved. You then have up to 4 years to pay off your loan at an affordable, locked-in interest rate. This way, you don't have to worry about increasing interest rates or being buried under rising debt. Throughout the process, our expert counselors will be available to guide, mentor, and ensure you are on the right path to achieving your career goals.
So what's on the agenda for today? So I'm going to introduce our panelists here right away. Then we're going to get into the panel discussion. That should be around 25 to 30 minutes. We have a short presentation on how career loans can help. Then we're going to get into the Q&A discussion. This is where all of your questions we'll ask the panelists. And then we will end our program. We have a survey that we would love for you guys to answer so we can make these sessions better for everyone. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our panelists here. So starting with Jordan. Jordan is a graduate of the University of Winnipeg, having studied international development, graduating with honors. He has been with the Saskatchewan Trucking Association for just over a year and acts as manager of policy and government relations. Jordan has a passion for the trucking industry and is committed to helping underrepresented people learn about careers in the industry. Looking ahead, Jordan is excited about being an advocate for the industry and its image and future. Jordan, thank you so much for joining us today.
Awesome.
And Gander, our second panelist. Gander is the owner and operator of Capilano Truck Driver Training Institute in Edmonton, Alberta, and is very well known and respected in the truck trucking industry. He himself is a newcomer immigrating from India, which gives him a deep understanding as to the challenges many international trained individuals might face in Canada. His training institute has had over 25,000 successful students run through their classroom since its inception in 1992. Gander and his team are extremely proud of the work they do in Alberta with their 2 locations in Edmonton and Red Deer. I'm so excited to have you guys on board with us today. I think this is going to be a really great panel discussion. Gander, I'm just going to get you to come online here and we'll start the panel questions. There we go.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna get you guys to give a little bit more information about your organization. So Jordan, we'll start with you.
Okay, so yeah, obviously thank you to Candace and to Career Loans for inviting me to be here today. I hope that everybody can see this little presentation here. This will only take me a couple minutes. I just want to introduce everybody to the Saskatchewan Trucking Association. So first and foremost, we are not a for-hire trucking company. We are a nonprofit association that works for the trucking industry here in Saskatchewan. So the trucking companies in our province are the groups that make up the STA membership. And through that, we're able to kind of build our network, learn about some of their needs, and help make connections here in Saskatchewan. So just a little bit more about us here. Our vision here is to be the leading voice for safe and professional truck transport in the province of Saskatchewan. And then some of our values as well. So accountability is huge in the trucking industry, especially when we're talking about safety, which you can see right below that as being another core value here at the STA. We're committed to community and partnerships. So obviously I'm sitting here today talking to you fine people. So that's really great. And then another big piece of what we do here is development and education, educating groups like this on careers in the trucking industry, how to get into the industry, what types of programs exist, etc. And then we also strive to be an inclusive association as well. Just a little bit more here. This is kind of who we work with here in Saskatchewan. So we are quite connected with our government. We're connected well with our labor market services and Ministry of Immigration and Career Training branch in the government of Saskatchewan. So they're very much aware of some of the labor needs of the trucking industry here in Saskatchewan and are a really good group to chat with. And then lastly here, and there's a real opportunity today to get into the trucking industry if you are able to kind of find the right training, get the money that's required, et cetera, et cetera. And the reason that there is an opportunity is because we're facing a driver shortage in the trucking industry. So you can kind of see some of the statistics here, and I'm not going to go through them all, but when we look at the industry, we see a very male-dominated industry. We see very poor representation of females, especially in the truck driver position. And then we also have an aging industry as well. 32% of truck drivers are 55 years or older. So there is a need for the industry to get younger, to become more inclusive. So yeah, I'm excited to get into the discussion part. So I'll just kind of leave it at that with the STA, and I'll stop sharing my screen here and we can continue on.
Perfect, thank you so much, Jordan. Gander, I'll let you talk a little bit about your organization as well.
My name is Debra. Thank you so much for having me here. So I would like to tell you a little briefly myself a bit. So I came here in 2001 as an immigrant. So I started my trucking with the first year. And with the second year, I started having my own trucks, my own company. Actually, trucking is not for everybody, but it's a really good opportunity, especially when you're an immigrant here. When I came here from that time, now the things are totally changed. But that time I just paid $1,000 to get my license, but now the cost is for 10 grand because of that new program. It's called Mandatory Entry Level Training MELT program. And I was a driver examiner for 10 years. I was doing the road test for trucks as well. I think MELT program is a really good program. They need it here because of they need to know, there's a lot of things need to know about the trucking. It's not easy like you can go, but before the MELT program, a lot of driving school, they were just teaching the students just to pass their road test. But our organization need to make sure we teach them when they get their license so that they can go to the job next day, right? So they know everything. There's a lot of things to know about the trucking. It's really easy to start driving a truck, but it's very hard to stop the truck. It's like you have a bomb in your car, like you can kill anybody. So I'm happy with the new program, but I really appreciate you guys as well for the career loans. But because of the new immigrant, they can't afford 10 grand for the start of the day. But now it's going to be very helpful. So our organization, we make sure students are giving us a 99.1% satisfaction rate. Our staff work together as a team for better result. Our staff has a reputation for being patient, kind, and welcoming, which make learning much easier. So MELT program is a little new here, like it's just been like last year in March. There's a lot of things need to be improved in there, but everything else is good.
Awesome. Thank you. So I think we'll get into the panel discussion if you guys are ready. Jordan, we'll start with you. Can you just give us a little bit of information about the truck industry in Saskatchewan?
Yeah, definitely. So like Gamdur was kind of saying, in the past in Saskatchewan, licenses were, class 1A licenses were kind of given out like candy here. If you could pass a test, you were driving a truck. And of course, Saskatchewan, it is a landlocked province. We don't have a port or an ocean or anything like that. So we are very reliant on the transportation industry in Saskatchewan to kind of move our exports. It says here that we actually contribute 6% of total Canadian exports from our province here. So that kind of speaks volumes to just how essential our industry is here. So there's definitely a need in our province. But yeah, in terms of our kind of the economic importance of our province, trucking really makes sure that our economy here in the province is always kind of moving for sure.
It's essential. Gamdur, how about you? Can you give us a little bit of information about the trucking industry in Alberta?
Actually, Alberta trucking industry used to be doing really good, but right now it's slowed down because of oil and everything happened, then the COVID thing happened. So there's a lot more trucking for the gravel here because of developing and stuff there. But right now, trucking industry, they're doing okay, but not doing too good because of the COVID as well.
Okay.
If Candace, if I may as well, really quickly, just touching back quickly on Saskatchewan. Currently today, by 2023, in the trucking industry, there's going to be about 7,500 jobs that need to be filled. And that's not just in the truck driver position. There's other positions within the industry as well. 83% of those workers are going to be brand new to the industry. So just keep that in mind. If you don't have a lot of experience working in the industry from where you've come from, there's still opportunities for you here in Saskatchewan.
Okay.
Thank you, Candace.
Yeah. And Gamdur, can you just speak just a little bit about like the aging, like is the sector aging? I know Jordan had some stats around, retirement amount of people over the age of 55. Do you have any sort of idea as to that in Alberta?
I don't have the proper number, like for what the percentage there, but there's a lot of them. There's old guys from here, like they're still doing that. Even after retirement, they're still driving cars.
Yeah. Okay. We'll move to the second question. So what is the process for internationally trained truck drivers wanting to enter into the industry in Saskatchewan, Alberta? Maybe I'll push this over to Gamdur first. So, if I was an internationally trained individual wanting to enter into this industry, what does that process sort of look like?
It used to be the process was easier when the MELT program wasn't here, but now it's still like everybody has to go through the MELT program. They have to have 121 point hours to go in there, so then they can get their license. It's easy for them, but they still, like, even if they know all the things, they still need to go through that process. Some of them, they're not happy with it because they have experience with the driving, but Alberta Transportation, they want to make sure they know everything what the MELT program has to offer.
Okay. And Jordan, same thing in Saskatchewan?
Yeah, so there is one particular program that is specific to Saskatchewan. It's called the SINP Long Haul Trucking Program. So essentially, employers here in the province who have already completed and successfully done so a labor market impact assessment, they can work with any internationally trained worker to bring them over to Canada and start driving truck. However, that would only take place in Saskatchewan because you'd only be cleared to drive here in our province. Moving forward, I think in March 2021, any temporary foreign worker or new permanent resident to Canada will have to go through the MELT program. So there is kind of this LMIA process. Now, on the employer side of things, there's not a lot of uptake there. It's a lot of work on their kind of behalf. There's a cost to it as well. And in Saskatchewan, a lot of the trucking companies here are kind of small to medium sized as well. So they just don't really have the capacity to do that. So usually I don't suggest that is kind of the number one way. If you're already a permanent resident here in Canada, maybe it's working with a group like Career Loans to get that loan to pay for the MELT training. Maybe it's looking to find some sort of employment in a warehouse with a trucking company where you can kind of then work your way up. So there's a couple different ways, but yeah, the SINP long haul program, if interested, I can share some contact info for who you'd want to talk to with that later.
Perfect. Gander, I'm going to go back to you. So what are some misconceptions about the transportation sector, would you say?
Well, the first thing actually, they think that driving a truck is a piece of cake, but that's not true. Okay. There's a lot of things you need to know before you jump in the seat, before you get license. So, but when they get in the course here, when we teach them during the course, then they realize that first of all, they're taking it easy, but when they get in there, when they know like this and that, then it's making more sense for them.
Jordan, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, definitely there's, I would second that. There's way more to know than just how to drive the vehicle straight down the highway. There's a lot of regulations that you need to know, which I'm sure Gamdur is very well aware of, because he's teaching these things. But I mean, the drivers that we see out there, they are professionals. They're incredibly skilled. And also, I mean, we've seen kind of through this pandemic that they are quite essential to our economy, to making sure that we have clothes, making sure that we have food, making sure that hospitals have medicine. So I don't know, we kind of look at truck drivers as unsung heroes around here a little bit, because they do are, I guess, kind of held in a poor image at times.
Yeah, absolutely. What would you say is an average compensation package for a truck driver? Gander, how about in Alberta? What would be around average?
For compensation for you're talking about the yearly what they make, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
For here, you know, they're making around 65 grand to 90 grand.
Okay. So that's a fair gap in between. So lots of room to move up for sure. Jordan, what about in Saskatchewan? What would you say?
Yeah, no, I mean, so the estimated wage in Saskatchewan is between 63,000 and 86,000. So very similar to what we just heard. And then it really depends kind of too. If you're doing long haul, you might be getting paid per mile. And that is still a pretty dominant mode of pay in the industry. Owner operator, so somebody who owns their own truck and contracts out their own work, has maybe more earning potential depending on how much they want to work, I guess, and how much effort they're going to put into it. And then really, yeah, it depends. If you just drive in the province, do you go across Canada? Are you a specialized driver? Do you go down into the States? So there's all sorts of different kind of levels of pay, I guess, to the more experience that you get and the more clean miles that you have as well. So there's lots of earning potential, and especially right off the start, there's a lot of earning potential as well.
And probably variables. I mean, you know, depending on what you're hauling and carrying, depending on, you know, how, you know, dangerous the materials are, I'm guessing that would play
absolutely.
into. Okay. Next question, Gander. How long does training usually take? And can you give us an idea as to what is involved in that training? You know, how much of it would be in the classroom? How much of it would actually be, you know, in a truck?
Actually, Usually the training takes from 4 to 6 weeks,
Okay.
depend on their when they're free. And for that one, for a new program there, we as all together is 121.5 hours, where the 40 hours should be handle wheels and truck. Then there's some hours they have to spend on the for the pre-trip air brake portion as well. For some parts, they have to spend on the backing as well. With the new program, the backing is really hard. It used to be very easy. They do driver side, but now they do blind side, and then they do parallel park as well with the truck. So I never need that. I drove a truck for 9 years, but that's there. We have to train them. Blind side, I totally agree. They should know, but parallel, so they'll never need one.
I am so glad that is not me, because trying to parallel park in an SUV is one thing, but you know, a long haul, goodness. Okay. Jordan, how about in Saskatchewan? What does the training process look like?
Yeah, Gander said something at the start of this presentation where he said that trucking isn't for everyone. And that's very much true, just kind of on some of the things that were just said. It's not an easy thing to do, but it can be learned. In Saskatchewan, though, with the training, it's the exact same as it is in Alberta. There's a national standard that needs to be met. I think Alberta and Saskatchewan both go above what that standard is by like maybe 20 hours or so. So yeah, it's the 4 to 6 weeks. It's 121.5 hours, and then it's split in cab and yard. And then I think there's one other piece as well.
Classroom as well.
Yeah, classroom. Thank you.
And so what are we looking at for cost, guys? You know, is it very similar in both provinces, Gander? What would be, you know, the average cost for the training, and, you know, maybe any fees or anything else that they might need in terms of getting up and running?
Yeah, so for now in Alberta, actually, as the average, so no school can charge more than 10 grand.
Okay.
So normal cost for right now for the class 1 training is around 8,500
Okay.
for the full course. But that's that $8,500. The only cost is not covered for their knowledge test and for their air brake test and for the road test. That's
Okay.
not because schools are not allowed to collect that fee on behalf of the client.
And so those fees, does that then make that number 10 grand? Is that?
No, not 10 grand, because you know that normally it's the $220 for the road test and $25 for the written test. So you can say roughly around $270.
Okay.
87, 70, you can say full cost.
Okay. Jordan?
Yeah, and sorry, in Saskatchewan, it's I haven't heard anything lower than $10,000, and I've heard as high as $12,500. It's a huge barrier for anyone to get into the industry. It's a large cost.
Yeah, that is. That is. We're going to switch from the panel discussion. I'm going to ask you guys some questions respective to your province and your organizations. And Gander, I'll start with you. Where does your organization fit in the process for newcomers who are looking to launch their career in the trucking industry in Alberta?
Actually, most of clients, like not too many, but 40% our clients are as the newcomers. So first of the big issue they're having now after they change to the multi-program is financing.
Okay.
It's not easy to get financing. Some of the financiers, they give them financing, but the finance rate is really high, 8%, 9%, and they can't afford it. And
Right.
they don't get much money with them when they're in New York. I explained earlier as well, our organization give a training to start their job right after they get the license. We don't treat them just for passing their road test. We always make sure our student knows everything they should know before they go behind the wheels, because it's earlier Jordan explained like that. This not easy, like just for driving, not shifting. No, they need to know, because if they're going somewhere and the truck is break down in the middle, actually the truck driver is a 50% mechanic as well.
I've always wondered that, you know, when you see them at the you know, end of the road or side of the road with the hood up, I'm always thinking like they must just be able to know what to do, because they're essentially on the road by themselves for, you know, a lot of the time. So
yeah, it is. So our staff work together as a team for better result, and our staff has a reputation for being patient, kind, and welcoming, which make learning much easier, because you have to, patience is the key for the instructors to stay with them, because if they know everything, they don't need to come to school.
Right.
You have to be patient to teach them.
Perfect, thank you. Jordan, what are some barriers that underrepresented people face specific in Saskatchewan when trying to launch a career in the trucking industry?
Yeah, I mean, kind of talked about it a little bit, but if you don't have an employer with the LMA, obviously the $10,000 is a huge cost. There's also not really any funding programs that help with this outside of the Canada Saskatchewan Jobs Grant, which can be used for the MELT program. However, you need to have a job offer already, and that sometimes can be challenging. Another barrier would be that most trucking companies require 2 years of experience already driving. That's something that even from a personal perspective, it can be really challenging to break into any career when they are constantly asking us for that experience piece. And then again, too, as well, just some of the, I guess, the safety standards here. I think that there is potential in our province in Saskatchewan for maybe a little bit more awareness and education to our newcomer population, just in the sense to kind of help them understand kind of some of the background context of where someone might be coming from or how they learn or what it is. So I think kind of, yeah, that the cultural differences, language can also act as a barrier as well. Even like reading signs on the road, like the metric versus imperial system can be a challenging barrier. So there's all sorts of little things, but I think that these are all kind of kinks that can be worked out a little bit. Minus that cost, that's a big one to get around.
Yeah, that would be the major one, I'm guessing, for newcomers. Gander, you are a newcomer. Can you talk a little bit about your personal experience launching your career in the industry and eventually taking over Capilano?
Actually, I came here in 2001, so I get my license within a couple of months. So then I started driving a truck for a local company here. I drove them for the first year, and second year I got my own truck. Because this is the actually industry where you can become your own boss very easily, because you don't need too much money to buy, and there's a lot of opportunity you have. They give you a loan very easily for the trucking there. So I did my trucking from 2001 till 2009. It was a really good time that time. I'm not saying it's always good time with the trucking, but right now the trucking is a little down as well because of the rates are cutting down and the fuel is getting up there. There's a lot of concern in there. From 2009, I started my driver examiner experience there. So I was a driver examiner from 2009 till 2019, last year till March. Actually, I wasn't happy with the process before the MELT programs, the way they was teaching, because even while I was an examiner, sometimes I know that driver cannot go on the road, but they are giving you a book, okay, mark here, they film mark here. Sometimes you can't do anything, right? So sometimes because the schools, most of the schools, I'm not saying all of them, all right? So don't take me wrong here, but some of the schools, they just teach them to just get their license. They don't care after that if they know what the trucks or not. Most of the time, clients, they learn while they're on the jobs there when they go, and that's not right. That's totally different. I had a very good experience while a trucker. Actually, trucking is a really good industry to be in there, and there's a lot of opportunity you have in there because they're looking for truck drivers all the time. So you don't worry about your jobs. There's a job security as well.
Yeah.
Perfect. Jordan, in your bio, you mentioned wanting to be an advocate for this industry. Why is that so important for you?
Yeah, I think that there's a variety of reasons. I think one, obviously, just being able to give a voice to trucking companies in Saskatchewan. I think oftentimes our industry is kind of has anything negative about the industry is always kind of in that mainstream news. And a lot of all the positive stuff, oftentimes we do not hear about. So really my advocacy approach is to share everything that I believe is good about the industry, talk about where the industry is going, where it's trying to go, the positive steps and changes that it's trying to make. So in that sense, it's really fun to be an advocate because I think through that that's where my passion really for the industry has kind of come from. And then I guess in addition to that too, I mean, working with the government, trying to create a better business environment, reduce red tape, and just making the whole operation of trucking just a lot smoother from east to west, really, is what we can do as advocates. So
Awesome. Gander, you've touched on this a little bit, or you kind of mentioned it, but you know, in your experience, what are some hard and soft skills that an individual would really need in order to be successful in this industry?
To successful in this industry, first of all, you need to spend a lot of time for the trucking business. Even if you drive 6 days or 5 days a week, when you're home on the weekend, you're spending all of your time with the trucking. You have to grease your truck and, you know, change your oil and stuff. So it's time consuming. There's a family life, but it's not a family like if you're working locally or if you're doing another job. But another side, but you have to choose if you want an easy job or, you know, you want to be successful. You want to be like, because all the newcomers here, when they get here, they have a really huge dreams. They want this, they want that. That's why you see successful for Canada because of immigrants as well, because they're very hard worker.
Okay. Jordan, would you add anything to that as well?
Yeah, I think maybe some of like the resume additions that one could make. Oftentimes employers are kind of looking that you can like strategically think, that you are, you know, kind of calm in a way that you can think through stressful situations. There's a physicality piece to it as well. Can you lift up to like 50 pounds, for example? That might be a question that you're asked. And then even too, with some of the other positions, like being proficient in Microsoft Word, Excel, Adobe, whatever that might be. A lot of technology is starting to come into the industry. So kind of having some of those skills, obviously being able to communicate. Yeah, stuff like that. I mean, ethics and integrity too. Having integrity is extremely important when you're on the road, because really at the start of the day, you got to check your ego, because you got to watch out for everybody on the road when you're behind the wheel. Because I mean, oftentimes the general public doesn't seem to want to do that, right? So it's the truck drivers who are always watching out for everybody. So check your ego and you should be good.
Awesome. Jordan, this question is specific for you. If a newcomer is passionate about the industry and has experience in their home country, but wanted to consider jobs within the industry, aside from just the truck driver, that, you know, what other jobs are available in the industry?
I've kind of categorized it into kind of 4 areas. So one is in the shop. So if you're mechanically inclined, if you've worked kind of as a repair technician, a parts technician, something like that, you might be able to find some success. There's positions in the warehouse as well. You could, I mean, operate a forklift. You could go out and look to get trained on one of those and then go to an employer and apply. You could even work all the way up to becoming a terminal manager or logistics coordinator. In the office, I mean, there's dispatching jobs, route planning, there's HR, there's sales, there's safety specialists. And then I'm obviously on the road too. The better that you get, the longer that you do it, the more, I guess, specialized trucking you can get into, hauling bulk liquids, flat deck, that kind of stuff. Cool. So there's definitely lots of transferable skills.
Lots of opportunity, yeah. It's not just in the driver's seat. There's lots of opportunity for other jobs. Gander, why would this industry, or why is this industry an attractive one for newcomers?
So first of all, you know, it's easy to get in there. The reason I'm saying is to get in there, just to give you an example, because when I get here, I was a PEDC, a post-graduate diploma computer application. If I want to have my jobs in the same field, I have to go back to school and study for 2 years. Same like doctors, engineers. So there's a lot of doctors, engineers, they're driving the trucks as well. It's easy to get in there. It's a good money. And then there's a lot of opportunity. You become your own boss as well, right? And rather than that, you know, independence. I know a lot of hours, but still, like, you have control of your hours there. It's making a difference in the lives of other people as well when you can them. It's the opportunity to travel. Who like travel? Me, I love driving. That's why I was in the industry there when I started there. And it's a great pay and easy to qualify. Some companies cover the cost of license as well. That's a good thing. Even government, when they cover that cost, government pay them at least 65% back to them. but everybody is not lucky to find that bar. So most of them, they don't want to pay because they get employed who just already have their class 1 license. Job security is a main thing here. Truckers are in demand. So all the trucking companies, they're always looking for drivers all the time, and benefits of working with big companies, that's helpful as well, especially when you have family, you have kids and everybody in the family.
It's a really good point.
Gander, I just have a question because I know that you've done the job. Where is the craziest place you had to travel to, or do you have any kind of interesting stories or anything to share around just your experience being in the driver's seat?
Yeah, actually, my craziest experience is I took a load from Edmonton, go all the way down to Yellowknife.
Wow.
It was a minus of 54 that time. The belts was freeze, everything freeze. It's actually 16-hour drive from Edmonton to Yellowknife. From here to high level is 8 hour, high level to Yellowknife is 8 hours. So when I was going from high level to Yellowknife, it's an 8 hour driving, so around 800 kilometers. And I had just seen 3 cars on the road. So if something happened to your truck on the way, engine shut down, that means you're gone. You can't survive for long, especially there's no phone service, there's nothing. So trucking is not an easy job, it's a dangerous job actually. You know, even while you're driving good, you have like a good driving skill, but someone coming in front of you they don't have driving good skill. They are on the phone, they come in front of you. So things can happen in them.
Absolutely. It's
sorry, can I just want to second on that, because I think it's important to, I mean, we can sit here and talk about all the pros of the trucking industry and all the opportunity that exists. But it's also important to be upfront about some of the realistic side of the job, like Gamdur was just kind of explaining. I mean, sometimes you're going to have to put your trust in the company. You might be up in an area where there's absolutely no internet. You might get lonely because you're in the States for like 2 weeks on your own. So there are some of those challenges to the job, and it's just important to acknowledge those, I guess, before making that decision that yes, I want to go into the industry, or no, I don't.
That's a good point, and I think too, you know, there are the hard and the soft skills, but it's also your mental and emotional health as well that you have to take into consideration when you're doing this job as well. So, Jordan, what are your predictions for the future of the industry in Saskatchewan?
Yeah, I think, well, I mean, with COVID especially, I think that trucking companies are without a doubt going to be looking for more ways to become efficient. I think that we're going to start to see more kind of the LCV units running on the roads. I mean, we do see a fair amount of them, and what the LCV is when you see the 2 trailers being pulled by the truck. I think that technology as well is making its way into the industry. Electronic logging devices are coming and basically taking over the old paper log books, which track your hours of service. And then as well, I think safety and training and some of the training methods and tools that we bring in. I mean, I know virtual reality and driving simulators are kind of a hot topic nowadays. And I mean, I've been in a driving simulator. It's a lot of fun. I'm learning about the VR, which is also a really cool tool. And then, I mean, we can really get into it and talk about self-driving trucks, electric trucks, hydrogen trucks. The self-driving stuff, I really don't see much of a market for that here in Saskatchewan. And then some of the electric and hydrogen, I'm just not sure how well that would do in our extreme weather here in Saskatchewan. But I do see an inclusive industry. I think that you're starting to see it become more diverse.
Right, yeah.
So yeah, I think that it's going to be an exciting, welcoming, kind of technologically savvy industry moving down the road.
Gamdur, anything to add with that at all?
No, Jordan has actually covered most of it, but I'm very happy about the logbooks, the electric one, because that's where you can play with them. Mostly accident happen when people, they run into the 2 different logbooks. So sometimes they have got to put more hours. I know they're greedy, they want to make more money, they want to go, but they don't understand, like, you know, it's not effective because it's going to affect their own family as well.
Yeah, so accountability, definitely. Awesome. Thank you so much, you guys. That was a great chat. You offered a lot of information, and I'm sure we have a lot of questions from our attendees, but I wanted to give the floor to Claudia and let her talk a little bit about how career loans can support anyone individual or our newcomer population if they're interested in getting into this industry. So I'm going to shut my screen off and I'll let Claudia take over from here.
Okay. Okay, everyone. Thank you so much for such a great information from Jordan and Gamdur, and thank you, Candice, for those very interesting questions. I love the fact that both touch base on the pros and cons of the industry. This is very important. And to complement those efforts, we are having this program that Jordan and Gamdur also learn about it. I think we complement each other perfectly because as an organization, Career Loans, the main mandate is exactly that, to promote in the individual's careers and how we come in place in helping out. That's what I'm going to talk about a little bit. So our program, our company changed the brand name for now Achēv, and so our program is funded by the Government of Canada, and the financial institution is HSBC. Okay, so about the program, as you heard at the beginning, probably you can't remember everything, but this is a virtual program, and the benefits are that overall, of course, anywhere in Saskatchewan and anywhere in Alberta, you can reach us, and we'll be more than happy to help you out and guide you through the process, talking about all the different aspects that are good about this program. We provide that free career support that is so important, because it's not only thinking about, oh, well, yeah, I'm interested in getting into the truck industry, but what about the areas that I'm interested in? What about the value that I have in being with my family? What are my interests, right? So all those things are assessed by expert counselors like ourselves at Career Loans, and we guide them through the process to get back in their careers of choice as well in Canada. So the eligibility process is that the individual has to be trained outside of Canada, and it could come from a regulated or non-regulated occupation and trades as well. So the truck industry, as you hear from the experts, is extremely good. And you have to be a resident of Alberta and Saskatchewan, permanent resident, Canadian citizen, or conventional refugee. Canadian citizen, we talk about being up in Canada up to 10 or 12 years, and also have a language benchmark of level 5, meaning that, as Jordan said, it's very important to understand the instructions. It's very important to be clear about the message that you need to read, and the information that you have to provide on your reports and so forth. So of course, communication is essential. So some of the features that we have in the program is the career and financial advice that we provide. So it's helping you out to map out your career path. That's the main purpose, just to help you out and understand what are the key things that you need to consider and how to go about that and what type of steps you need to take. Also, we have a low interest of a microloan up to 15,000. So for Gamdur and also Jordan, this is a good option for sharing with participants or individuals that are interested in getting into that. There are options, so the Government of Canada really encourage newcomers to use the services and have the opportunity to take microloans like this. We provide you also with referral to employment services. If at the moment you need is to get a job or change jobs, that's something that we can refer you to our collaborators and partners across Alberta and Saskatchewan. And we also can provide you with the guidance through the accreditation process if you are aiming to go through a regulated profession or non-regulated. And if you're considering alternative careers like transportation, right? So if you're a mechanical engineer, if you are in the area of logistics, so all that is connected and will help you. We can help you throughout that process. Some of the great benefits that we have is the fact that we have webinars available with incredible content. So I encourage everyone to please take a look and make the time to go through the webinars. The information is excellent. We have the expert advice of counselors. We have tons of experience for many, many, many years with international trained professionals, and we are passionate about what we do. We also provide information about the latest industry trends and live guest speakers like Jordan and Gamdur that provide us all with excellent insight. What is the process like? Pretty much is having the first session and discussing what are the areas that the individual is interested on and determine the career path and the next steps. So the next steps is, okay, what should I go to do next? So I have to complete a registration or complete my license. I have to speak with the counselor, whatever is the case. So that's what we are here for, to guide you. We provide you with referral to different local service providers, and it's very personalized because every situation, every person is different. If you are interested in moving forward and say, yeah, I'm interested in getting into the transportation sector and get my license, so that's when we can help you with the microloan as well. We can walk you through the process, and that's what we are more interested in, making sure that you have a clear picture of what are the benefits of having a microloan. I always take it as, when you're learning something, it's an investment that you're making in your career. Don't think it as expense, because think about it, if you pay for a license, a class 1 license for driving a truck now, it costs you $10,000. It's true, but then you can more than make it within a year or less. So the long-term benefit or the mid-term benefit is also very, very positive. And our microloan is provided by our partner at HSBC, and the minimum that you can apply for is $1,500 and the maximum up to $15,000. So it will include a lot of things that I'll talk on the next slide. The interest rate is HSBC Prime plus 2%. Right now it's 4.45, which is excellent. And the loan repayments are for up to 4 years, of course, depending on the type and amount of loan that you take, but you have up to 4 years to pay, and the interest rate is locked, which is also a great benefit. Some of the things that you can claim within your learning plan or your expenses is, for some of you that are in regulated professions, the credential assessment, the accreditation, exam fees, if you're interested in talking about trucking, the training will be covered, the books and equipment that you may need, licensing and membership fees, and also union fees. So there are many, many expenses that you can include for your learning plan to ensure that you have all the elements of the preparation required. And you can always reach us at www.careerloans.ca or send us an email at info@careerloans.ca. In Alberta, it will be info.ab, and for Saskatchewan, info.sk, and you can reach us through social media on Facebook and LinkedIn, through Instagram and Twitter. And right now, I'm going to pass it on to Candice. We're going to have a period of question and answer. I know you have lots of questions, so thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Claudia. So I'll bring our panelists back in here, and we'll start with some of the questions. So the first one just asked, I want to know Gander's training services address and contact info. So I think we will make sure that we'll put that in the chat. If that's okay, Gander, we'll put the information about your training institute in the chat. And just give everyone who's interested in maybe connecting with you or learning a little bit more about your school, even your web address would be great as well. This next question is from VG, and it says, if a person has, say, a class 5 license and wants to get the class 1, what would the total cost of training be less than for someone who was starting from a more basic license?
No, it's either way, you're going to be paying the full cost of the MELT program. So if you have a graduated class 5 license here in Saskatchewan and you say, okay, I want to go to the MELT program, then you have to you pay the full cost. If you are a temporary foreign worker and you come here on your class 1, you can drive in Saskatchewan until 2021, where you'll then be required to take the full MELT program and pay the full cost.
Okay. The next question is from Tariq, and he says, what would the career path look like for a truck driver? So maybe you can just give some options. So, you know, you said there was like the long haul. There are people, I'm sure, that drive mostly outside of the province, maybe some people that do inner city or in your province. You guys can just give a little bit more information around that.
Well, I think, yeah, go ahead, Gamdur.
Oh, go ahead, Jordan.
Well, I was going to say here, I have a document that I've put together called Entering the Trucking Industry in Saskatchewan. And it just gives an overview of the different styles of trucking, the different compensations, the different skills that are required for different positions, how to become a dock worker, how to become an administrator. So instead of me taking 20 minutes, I could probably just send this and you can kind of start to get an idea as to what the appropriate path would be, I guess, to employment.
Yeah, Tariq, if you want to send your contact information to Claudia, myself, Jordan, even, we could provide you with that information. There's also the career loans individual. If you just direct message one of us, we will get you that information so that you have it. Any safety statistics in Alberta or Saskatchewan around truck driving?
In front of me, no.
Okay.
I know that fatal collisions in Saskatchewan involving commercial vehicles is down as of 2018. But I mean, like I said, whenever there's a safety incident or an accident with a truck, we're often hearing about it. But what we don't hear is that commercial drivers are often the safest people on the road.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Gander, what would you say are the perks of being a truck driver?
First of all, I want to go to previous question about John. That one there. Actually, for the carrier in the industry for trucking, so you have a lot of options. Actually, you can drive city-wise, you can drive province-wise, you can drive country-wise or international as well. You can go to states. So there's a lot of opportunity there. For safety, they don't have a component for the written right now, but they're I believe the commercial driver are way more safer than the other drivers, the truck drivers.
Okay. And then perks, if you just could give like the top 5 perks for driving, for truck driving, what would they be?
Say it again, I didn't get it.
What would be like the top 5 perks or pros to being a truck driver?
The first pro is to become a best truck driver is the patience. Right. The second one, you have to make sure you're looking to your inspecting truck at least twice a day, and every 3 hours when you stop somewhere, you should check the tires and make sure everything is good. And then just be more careful, I would like to say there.
Okay. And what would you say are the benefits of being a truck driver, or why would someone want to get into this industry? What are some of the positives?
The benefits for this, first of all, this truck industry is it's easy to get in there. It's not an easy course, but yes, it is. You don't need a big qualification to get in there. And the second benefit, you can be your own boss very soon. Like you can have your own operator driving that way, and you can have your own hours. You can work in there. And when you are running your own company, then it's always beneficial regarding them to work for someone else.
Right.
And my opinion, it's a really good job. and you feel good when you're, especially the COVID time when you're helping people, you bring the food in, you bring the supplies in. It's really, when you help someone, you feel good. Even I run a couple of more businesses as well. I have a couple of funeral homes. The reason I bought a funeral homes because I want to serve my community. Sometimes because I opened that funeral home the reasonable prices as well, because the funeral price was high. But only reason I do that because when I help someone, when they appreciate, I feel good. I feel like helping other people.
Yeah.
Definitely are essential workers for sure, and a huge one, especially with COVID-19 and some of the supply chain issues. We really rely heavily on our truck drivers.
Yeah, even right now because of COVID, actually, they are having a really hard time on the roads there as well, because nobody's letting them use their washrooms, posts their clothes. I heard a lot of stories, like your friends call me, they're telling me that's difficult, right? But why I'm still appreciate them, that they're still on the road.
Yeah, that's awesome. This question is specific for Saskatchewan. How much would a truck driver earn if they just did in province only?
Yeah, that's a good question. And it's likely going to be dependent on who you're working for. If you're just driving in the city, if you just have like a single stop that you make that's like 2 hours out of town. So I think that one would probably expect anywhere between $20 to $30 an hour.
Awesome. If anyone was interested in learning about training programs or whatnot, registration when they start, where would they look for both in Alberta and Saskatchewan? So gander, if people wanted more information about training, where would they look?
If they can call us, we can provide them all the information they need. And if they go to our website, is www.Kaplan Truck Driver Training Institute. Actually, we have all the courses, we have all the information there, even related to COVID as well.
Okay. And Jordan?
Yeah, you'll want to hop on Google and search for SGI MELT, MELT. They will have all the information there for you, everything that you'll need to do, as well as a list of the driving schools that are accredited by SGI to deliver the training. You'll want to then get in contact with one of the driving schools and get yourself set up in there. And then really you're kind of off and running, and it's kind of up to you. Secondly, I did put a link here into the chat really quick. This is a program that the STA is piloting, and it is for women only. However, this is a program for women who have absolutely no experience in the trucking industry. However, they are living in Saskatchewan. You will have a Class 5 driver's license, a good driver's abstract, that type of stuff. But take a look at the link if you're interested. Our application period is open for a few more days here, but it is a good opportunity for anybody who is completely brand new to the trucking industry to get the appropriate training possible. This is going to be a 12-week program, and it's going to be a lot more than just the 121.5-hour training. We got a driving simulator. We've got all sorts of female industry experts joining the program. We have the YWCA of Saskatoon partnered with us. So it's going to be a really good, empowering program, I believe. So that's also available. So sometimes you got to get creative to find your way into the industry.
Absolutely. Before I wrap up with some other stuff, any closing words from either of you about the industry or anything that you would like to say before we conclude?
I would like to say here, first of all, this industry is doing good right now, and with this career loans, it's going to be really helpful. That brings more good driver to the industry. Because some of them, they're good drivers, but they can't have the money to become a Class 1 driver, so they are working somewhere else as a labor, and by the time they make that money, it's probably going to take them a year to make that money to come back for the training, so it will be really helpful for them. And even the interest rate is good as well, Prime +2, because we have some private lenders as well, but they're charging crazy. They're charging 9% around there.
Perfect. Jordan, anything to close off?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely a really great industry to be a part of. I think that Gamdur kind of talked about how especially during this pandemic, that drivers are still out there. They're still delivering our most essential supplies. So I think that we don't give truck drivers enough credit, really. So I think that just saying thank you to truck drivers, being aware of them on the road, obviously. And again, if you are interested in careers in the industry, employers, first and foremost, want to know that you're a safety-minded individual. That's right up at the top. A lot of other stuff can be learned, but if safety isn't a priority for you, the trucking industry won't have you. So safety, very, very important in our industry for sure.
Perfect. I'm going to just share my screen here and we'll just wrap up. Thank you again to both of you for joining us today. And just to kind of close off, I know I did mention this survey. So if you guys could just click the link, I believe Gavin would have put it in the chat as well. So we would love to hear your feedback. Of course, we have upcoming webinars coming up, our IT webinar in November. We don't have a specific date and link yet, but please keep checking our Facebook and our social media handles for that. And if you would like to connect with Career Loans in Alberta or Saskatchewan, our information, of course. We also have the information for Jordan and Gander, as I see that there are some more questions coming in just around how they can get more information around training. So if people do want to learn more, or if they do need more information around training and how to get started, when the training begins, all that fun stuff, here is Jordan and Gander's contact information. Of course, please feel free to all those who attended to reach out to us. We can certainly offer you more information around the loan and how our career loans can support you in launching your career in the trucking industry. But I just wanted to say once again, a huge thanks to Jordan and Gander for taking the time out with us today. I know this information was super useful, and anything, Claudia, you might have to say. But yeah, we're just such great information to share.
Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much. It was very insightful. I learned a lot, and I learned to appreciate truck drivers a lot more. And to be honest with you, I personally seen on the road, and I see the effort that they put, because people drive like crazy, man.
Yeah.
And they are always very cautious, and that's also a reason why many times they have accidents, because the other crazy people are on the way, and it's not up to them to blame them. But I'm so happy to hear about the safety factor. So absolutely gives more trust to the industry, and learn a lot. Again, thank you so much. And you know that Career Loans is available here, so anytime send them. People that might be interested, we will be happy to answer any questions through Jordan or Gander. You know, we are here. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's actually, you know, you're right. It's not easy work. It's a really hard job. If they stay 5 days outside and they come for the weekend, there's a story behind it. This, when the truck driver come on the weekend, he ring the bell, the kid opened the door, mom said, "Who's there?" He said, "Weekend guy is here."
Yes.
So
Yeah,
they're like
absolutely.
weekend guys for a family.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again, gentlemen. And hopefully we can, we can have this webinar again, because I'm sure this information is going to be relevant as things change in the industry, and specifically for women too, to try and get them more into the industry. So thank you again. We really appreciate your time.
Anything I can do, I'm always available. So
Perfect.
Thank you very much again.